What is up, peeps? Welcome back to the channel. Over this past week, we saw some huge news from the Destiny 2 scene and some news that is still breaking because we haven't seen too many stories like this. A 4 times world's first raider. We'll get into more details about what that means in case you guys aren't fans of Destiny, but a 4 times world first raider and a very, very good endgame player for Destiny, and also fairly well known inside the endgame community known as Cruz, has now been permanently banned from the game by Bungie following what they found to be a different program running in his background as he loaded up the game, or so he does allege. All of this being some pretty crazy news. We're going to go over his initial tweets, a lot of the responses out there, and I did interview this guy for about an hour. I sat down and talked to him about the situation because we have never really seen, or at least I haven't, a very well-known player who has accolades and years and over 5,000 hours in a game before all of a sudden be banned permanently from the game for a cheat that was used for a completely separate game. By the way, a single-player RTS game is what he allegedly used this cheat for to get more money in a game called Total War Shogun 2, which resulted in him being permanently banned from Destiny 2 instead. It's a wild story. Let's get into it. As Cruz had originally tweeted about this and went viral just about instantly, with the whole community responding saying, "You just can't make this up, man. Considering the fact that I described in detail the program and what its purpose is for, cannot alter any files or inputs related to gaming. This is unreal. GG's, guys, it's been real, but this is something I cannot respect." Showcasing a response from Bungie Security saying, "Your appeal has been investigated. It was determined that memory embedding or debugging software marketed as a cheat program was detected. That was confirmed not to be a false positive after additional review. Due to the nature of the restriction you're appealing and the results of a review, your restriction is not eligible for an appeal. No further information will be provided." And Cruz going on to elaborate, "No conversation, just a simple statement that they claim to be true. For those wondering, when I play older Total War games, RTS games if you don't know, the economy system is dated and I usually run a program to alleviate the system beyond what outdated workshop mods can do. This program once again cannot alter any files as it is strictly limited to working with the economy of these games. I'm certain that after closing it, since I've been playing Shogun 2 a lot lately, it was still active in the background. As a result of this, I have now been permanently banned from a game I've played for 10 years. Reached the pinnacle and affected thousands. I've always been an honest person, which is why I'm stating exactly what happened and why I was banned without any decision beyond. Yup. GG's." And when I first saw this story, I was mind blown because, we've covered a lot of cheaters in the past. Typically, when you cheat in a game and you're detected in that game for cheating in that game, you are banned in that game. It is a rare occurrence to see someone who is detected using something that is meant to cheat in a completely separate game be banned in a completely separate game, especially when you look further as to what Cruz does allege, right? There's no foolproof way of proving this on either side. We're never going to know what Bungie has to say about this, and we can only, choose to believe or not believe. That's what the internet does with Cruz's information he presents to us on his intentions of what he was using the program known as Art Money for, to which he later elaborates he uses that to actually get his units and buildings faster and to add more money into an RTS single-player game. He unfortunately, according to him, left that program open in the background while opening Destiny 2, which is when BattleEye, their anti-cheat, detected that, and upon appeal, he was permanently banned because, well, apparently they think that's going to be a cheat for Destiny 2. By a large majority of eyes out there, I don't think a lot of people believe that Cruz was trying to cheat in Destiny 2, but a lot of people think at the very least, dang, that's a dumb way to get banned. Like, unfortunately, it is against terms of service. It is what it is. Let's read some other responses, though, because a lot of creators had a lot of things to say, including Grenadier Jake, who just said, "What a joke." We had Mactix, who had a lot to say about this, and a lot of people sprinkling in, "Playing a game for 10 years, multiple worlds first, and getting banned like that, things need to change. It's embarrassing." And then people making jokes about cheating or using mods or cheats in other games. I've referenced Age of Empires having SV cheats. People saying, "Guys, I feel like in light of recent events, I need to come clean," showing Minecraft cheats. We have Cox saying, "This generally just makes me fearful of adding any mods to games like Borderlands 2 via a cheat engine or any form of save editor. Modding old games is not uncommon, and doing it in a single-player game harms absolutely nobody. This is genuinely ridiculous, and it's extremely disappointing." Others saying, "Let this be a lesson that if you're going to cheat, cheat in Destiny 2. Bungie cannot detect cheats or memory editing programs for D2, only other games." And the list goes on and on for plenty of tweets and responses out there, some of which called this stupid, others there were certainly multiple sides. And I would think a general consensus of this, there was a lot of creators that backed up Cruz because they have met him or they know about him and believe his intention is to not be, malintent when it comes to having this program open for some weird reason. There was the internet's response, though, a lot of other people saying, hey, that was very stupid, that was very naive, something to which he can admit, yeah, it was very dumb, but does he deserve to be permanently banned from the game for doing something dumb, even though his intention was not to cheat whatsoever? And does this open a door for Bungie if they were to unban him, if other people are going to say, oh, that was a cheat that was meant for a different game instead? It's a very complex situation. A lot of people are going to believe a lot of different things. I will say, after talking to this guy for an hour, I tend to lean towards believing what he has to say. Like, he came forward. He was very honest about it. I don't think he had malintent. But also, he does admit, like, what he did was stupid. And unfortunately, he did make a mistake, and he's paying the price for it. So what do you guys think about the situation? It's something you don't see too often. The devil's advocate of that side would be, okay, you're a pretty experienced player. You're also doing things where records are involved. And I think the only devil's advocate argument that I've seen would be, how does an experienced player who maybe has more to lose not maybe like wonder, okay, if this program's open, like, things could obviously be happening with my account, so I don't want to risk that ever. Do you understand that kind of argument?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. In hindsight, I think it's tough to figure out when you've never used a program maliciously and you've only used it in a certain context. And I mean, yeah, I could go through and be like, this program does, maybe, and then this maybe connects. It's reasonable to believe that based off my usage and how I say I use it, which, again, believe me or not, like, I know what I did. I use it to give myself money. I can boot up Shogun right now and show you my army if you want me to. Like, that's the type of use I have for it. So to me, it's not in my frame of mind of like, hey, yeah, this is like a blatant cheating program that's going to get flagged, when I know the type of game Destiny is too. It's all like server side. Why would I think something in a local player, single player experience that changes money would be able to give me infinite ammo on heavy? Like, I don't know. It's not something that the typical average human mind in my circumstance is going to think of. It's not reasonable to expect that of most people.
But I will let him tell you guys in some clips out there. He explains his naivety around the situation, what happened with the situation exactly as to what led him to be banned, leaving the program apparently in the background on accident. He will also talk about how Bungie, he thinks, will not respond to this because, according to his own words, they can't admit if they are wrong, despite the fact that he has sent in an appeal and asked for details from them of, like, can they prove that he was actually trying to use this maliciously for the game of Destiny 2, and goes on to explain a whole slew of other things. I will probably have that full interview here on this channel at some point in the future, but here are a few clips highlighting his main response to all of this drama.
Full transparency with my tweet, that's exactly what happened. I was just, Sunday or Monday afternoon or something like that. I was playing Shogun 2 with the program which everyone's familiar now with, like, Art Money Open, which essentially I use to just give myself starting money when I start new campaigns, give myself like 100,000 coin or something like that, so I can like immediately upgrade the buildings faster. That then transpires into being able to build units faster, and ultimately when I play a game that I've played since I was 15, so 10 years now, and I've done 50 plus campaigns, I play for the enjoyment of me alone. I'm not gonna just sit there clicking end turn to go faster. Like, I'll just enjoy it myself, right? So then I'm like, oh, it's it must have been Monday, because Zur is like the Destiny exotic guy. Basically to say I don't have a need, but it's kind of a weekly thing. Maybe I'll go if I remember. And if I don't close that program right away, which is what happened, I boot up Destiny and nothing happens. Like, I don't get any alert or warning or anyone who brings up TOS in terms of like, oh, you should have read it all. No, you have not read it all either. Nobody has in their right mind. Does that mean I'm vindicated of my actions? No, but don't blame someone of not reading it when you yourself never have. And if you have, then kudos to you. You're in the 0.01% that reads all of that, because they've updated that thing probably like 10 times in the last 2 years. Anyway, with that being said, Yeah, I literally loaded up the game, and didn't get any alert or anything like that. From what I know, that like other programs, you won't even be allowed to boot the game. So I'm guessing because it's basically so old. Because again, I used this when I was like 13 initially, I think, for the first time. I just have always like, it's something I know of using, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll just go do that. I have the game open. I'm sitting in the orbit screen for about like 20 minutes or so. And like I think I said to you, it's kind of like the main menu of Destiny, where you just kind of load up and you're sitting there. Nobody else is there. You're not in any gameplay. I was literally on a website called D2 Armor Picker, which basically is like a website where you can make builds, and it helps you optimize things. It takes all your inventory and like calculates the most efficient way to do it. And builds and that efficiency is one thing I really like about Destiny. Even though its impact is very, very minimal, I like having super optimized builds. It's exactly why I use art money in Shogun, because I try to hyper perfect the unit to basically see how good it can be. If I can have a Royal Marine 1v5, that's fun to watch sometimes, right? So just giving it context of why I would use it. But yeah, it was just open background. No alert, no nothing. I didn't think that he was even gonna do anything, because I mean, I've no intention. Like, why? I don't know. Like, why would I cheat on a Monday? And there's no activity, so like I didn't even do anything. So there's no even action of cheating. Anyway, then I get error coded and permabanned. I send the appeal because that's what I'm supposed to do. They say, hey, a program's been detected, so we're in the right. And GG's. Doesn't matter who you are. I'm not saying it should matter. I'm just saying the situation is stupid.
This is like, how is this even possible? Like, obviously it's a little bit of negligence on your end for sure. But I think
I can admit to that, but I also was like I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess I was supposed to assume. I didn't.
But yeah,
My bad. I learned. Where's the learning lesson then? Like, oh, this is not okay.
Yeah,
this is where, again, like my thing about Destiny was like, why is there appeal system, permaban or nothing? Like, where is the action based off of what I did with a certain response that deems appropriate to what I did? Like, this is what the court judicial system is. I have 6 months of community service versus life in prison or death. They're not the same thing.
Meaning, like, when you first got it, you're saying like my intentions were pretty clear. Like, did you stumble across a video where like it said use art money to do this in Shogun 2, or how did you come across it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I was on like a Total War forum on the Steam community. It was, again, like back in like I think 2014 is when I initially used it, or around that time. And it was like basically like I was looking like how to get money. I was wondering if there's any like SV cheats or input commands and stuff like that. And I'm certain, again, this is all memory, but I'm certain that there was a comment about like, you can use this program, you can watch this tutorial or video how to use it in Shogun 2. It's super simple. You click these values and apply it over, and then once these two values, I think it's super rudimentary in terms of how it works in like a game like Total War. That, you know, obviously they're not evaluating that type of game, especially at that age. Yeah, for sure. I will say that you will probably never hear from Bungie's side. That is unfortunately how they act as a company. They acted as a privacy thing for both parties, but also it gives them plausible deniability to affirm whatever they want to believe. That is just fact of why they handle the situation the way they do. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's just why they do it. Because they're not ones to publicly announce that they are ever wrong, unfortunately.
And at the end of the day, man, I think it sucks getting to talk to people like this, because when I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that really sucks. It kind of was escalated by the fact that a lot of people are very upset because Destiny has a cheating issue in PvP altogether, that apparently all these other people can go undetected, but then you have one guy who is 5,000 plus hours and several accolades and 4 worlds first, and a guy who truly, even after me talking to him, he loves the game. And whether or not I am wrong in my belief, I'm not going to assume that he's 100% innocent, but that's where my belief tends to lean. Like, the guy truly loves the game, and I can't, after talking to him in good faith, say that I think he had malicious intent with this. And it does suck the situation that he found himself in. I do understand the difficulty of where Bungie has now found themselves of giving preferential treatment, but also I think one point that he kind of touched on that I was very impressed by the way he expressed this. It does suck because he is a figure in the community. He has dozens of other figures backing him up about his intent and validity in the scene, and he has so many accomplishments that I do think to some certain degree, it's okay if Bungie were to maybe elaborate more on their side or look more back into this about, okay, was this truly malicious? Like I do think that's okay if they were to admit not necessarily some sort of wrongdoing, but have a bit more transparency in a case like this, because I think it does matter, you know? And also with this ban and appeal system, what he goes on to say is you are either let free entirely or you're given a lifetime sentence. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of these game companies work, right? They don't want to dive into the details of all these different thousands upon thousands of bans they issue, which I do understand, but it also does suck for a player, especially if he is not guilty, because the appeal system either lets you go completely or you are permanently banned. Like there's no in between based on the actual offense or the intent of the action, which I do find kind of sad. Like I would actually be impressed if some game makers out there, and they'll never do it because there are probably other reasons we can't think of, but I would actually be very impressed if all of a sudden Bungie was like, okay, we very much looked into this case, we found no malicious intent, and because of the response of the community, maybe it warrants a bit more effort on Bungie's side. But will we ever see that? Probably not. What's the actual thing that went down with Cruz? I don't fully know, but I know which way I lean. And it's just a wild situation and a sucky one at that. So what do you guys think about this? Also, one last thing. A lot of people out there have modded. A lot of people out there have cheated in single player games. I am also one of those people. Like I kind of align this with back in the day, Age of Empires 2, when I was a kid, in a single player offline mode against computers. Do you think I was cheating? Yeah, because Age of Empires also allows you to cheat. Like I was driving that car around, I was giving myself unlimited gold, whatever I could do in Age of Empires. So I understand, like in an RTS game, manipulating those things. So if what Cruz says is true, I am understanding to that. And it's just a wild situation, man. So thanks to Cruz for speaking with me. Thanks to all of you guys for listening. What do you think about this one? Till next time, take care of yourselves. I'm gonna go drink some water because I'm sick as frick. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.